Good morning, and thank you all for joining us on our Adobe's Blended Learning webinar this morning. So my name's Owen, and I'm the Business Development Manager here at Pugh. So we're excited to be joined again by Tom McEldowie, the Education Business Architect at Adobe. So Tom's going to talk about the latest updates from Adobe and how they can help enable blended learning and creativity. He's also going to cover the amazing highlights from Adobe MAX. So I myself have enjoyed changing my images of drizzly West Wales to have glorious sunshine using the new sky replacement function to Photoshop. So if you have any questions for Tom, please post them in the Q&A and we'll go over them at the end. And then after Tom's presentation, we've got Eifion, our Director of Technical Services, and he's going to go through the solutions we offer here at Pugh to enhance blended learning. So right, I'm going to bring Tom in now. So good morning, Tom. Nice to have you back here again.
Good morning, Owen. Yeah, so hopefully, as we spoke a few minutes ago, the weather is not as bad as it was last time.
No thunder this time, so we're on track.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. So as Owen said, my name is Tom McEldowie. I work in the Adobe Education team, and I was a teacher for 14 years. And work closely with a number of our customers across the whole EMEA region, both at secondary school, primary secondary schools and higher education. So I'll take you through a bit of a journey today of some of our tools and how they can support blended learning. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is some updates to Adobe Spark. The key thing about Spark is that it's completely free for education and it comes with the premium features. So if you were not part of an education establishment, you'd be paying £9.99 per user per month for Adobe Spark, and it's a web app that works also on iOS devices. It has Spark Page, Spark Post, and Spark Video. So Spark Post is for creating graphics, Spark Video for creating really lovely, simple video introductions or explanations in an easy way. And then Spark Page, which creates a single web page. One of the key things we're doing with tools like Adobe Spark and with Creative Cloud is linking them to education tools. So linking them to the tools that teachers use every day. And we've seen a massive increase in the use of Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams to actually allow students to submit work. And we've got both those functionalities with Adobe Spark, where you can submit your work either as a classroom assignment if you're a teacher or as a response to an assignment as a pupil. We've also got integrations with Canvas as an LMS, and only this week we've released an integration for Blackboard, so more for higher education institutions, but links between those two. An update last week is the ability in Adobe Spark to save directly to your Google Drive folder. So you can actually create a graphic in Spark Post and save it directly to your Google Drive folder and then open it from Google Drive in Spark Post. And then another update that took place during the end of the summer holidays, so in September, was the ability to post your Spark creations, be it Spark Post, Spark Page, or Spark Video, directly into OneNote. And that would then show the graphic, the web page, or the image inside OneNote. So if you're an organization that's using Microsoft Teams for your blended learning and you're using the class OneNotes, and as a teacher you could create resources and put them into that OneNote, your students will be able to see that without having to click on a link and then opening another web browser window. Linked to Spark, so I've put the URL in there and I'll just pull across a browser window. Is that because you have the premium features, we have all of these templates that are available in Spark, and you can then just remix these. So any of these templates, and there are some education ones a bit further down, or doing a student resume, all of these are graphics that can be edited directly in Spark Post. So they don't have to have the tools, the full Creative Cloud suite to do this. They can just open any of these, replace the images in them. They're all fully editable. Every element in this graphic is editable directly from the browser. So they get access to remixing all of those designs as part of the premium features. And then the key one is that we federate logins with both Office 365 using Azure AD or G Suite for Education. And setting up that federation, that login mechanism, is the same for Spark as it is for Creative Cloud. So once you've done that process of linking the federation, then you just need to assign the product profiles, and Spark appears as a product profile for your administrators to assign to your learners and teachers. It takes about 5 minutes to connect the two up, and you don't have to worry about claiming domains. If you'd looked at this previously, you had to prove that you owned your website domain. This is all done between Adobe's admin console and Office 365 or G Suite. Okay, moving on to the next slide. This really comes from some updates now around Creative Cloud and where the tools work together in an ecosystem. And this is a slide that was produced from Adobe MAX. So for those of you that aren't aware, Adobe MAX is our annual creative media meetup, which normally takes place in the US. I was fortunate enough to go 2 years ago, and there were 14,000 people there. Now, due to COVID, Adobe MAX went completely digital, and we've got, I think it's over 11 days of content now available online, with experts using our tools, professionals explaining their work processes, and also educators talking about the use of the tools. So just max.adobe.com, and you can look at any of the videos that are available there. Now, one of the key things that really has been amplified recently is something called Creative Cloud Libraries. Creative Cloud Libraries are your conduit between multiple Adobe applications, be it Spark, Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, XD, Premiere Pro. You can bring in graphics or assets, so we call them assets because they're not just graphics, they could be video as well, from your Creative Cloud libraries into these different programs. And another update is that we've also allowed Creative Cloud Library access with a plugin to Office 365 for PowerPoint and Word, and for G Suite for Google Slides and Google Docs. So trying to explain this in a simple way, if you're working as part of a team and you're working on a project where you've got some brand guidelines and you've got some brand assets, you want everyone to use the same assets, you can create a Creative Cloud library and share that with your team. And then your team all have access to the latest assets. They can just drag and drop from their libraries panel into whichever program they're using, be it Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and as I said, Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. So you have this one place. It's not, oh, can you send me the JPEGs or can you send me a PNG for the logo? You just store the logo in this one place. If they're embedded into Adobe Creative Cloud documents, then it maintains that live link. So if there's a subtle change to the colors of the logo, then when you open up that document again, it will check to see if that asset has been updated and live update it in your applications. So there's that flow through. And we're working on something called design systems, which is really where you have a style guide and you build a design system with all of your layout, colors, font choices in a design system, and then that can work across your apps. And we've also brought in more APIs. So think about Creative Cloud is now becoming more extendable and working with more tools. From a school or a college point of view, you might have the college brand and you want to make sure that everyone has access to those assets. You can just put those into a Creative Cloud library and they can have read-only. They can follow that library and then have those available in those different tools. So a really big update is that it's now available in so many places. So Creative Cloud Libraries is the core to this program. Then we've also released a new feature. This was available in Fresco, which is our painting app that was available on the iPad. And we've launched something called Cloud Documents. So we've got Cloud Documents, Creative Cloud folders or files, and then Creative Cloud Libraries. So the libraries work across devices. It's where you share a library, a resource bank of key things that you need to use often. Creative Cloud Files is where it would save it to your local computer, and then that folder would push it up to Creative Cloud. So you could access those files remotely if you needed to. You could download them again or share them with someone else. The difference with Creative Cloud documents or cloud documents is that they're a live synchronous file type. So if I start working in Photoshop on the iPad, I will be saving that as a cloud document. And if I opened up Photoshop on my desktop, I could access that cloud document straight away. I don't need to wait for it to download and upload. And that now works with Adobe Illustrator. So we launched Adobe Illustrator at MAX this year on the iPad. So that has the cloud documents feature, again, that enables you to start work on your iPad, pick it up on your desktop, and then go back to your iPad. So this fluid flow between. And the same with Adobe Fresco and XD. So they're saving to cloud documents. For those of you that have not come across Adobe XD, this is our prototyping a mock-up app. You can create really good visualizations of websites or mobile apps and build the user flow into it with interactions with touch or voice. And if you save these to cloud documents, you can then access this through your mobile device without having to synchronize or plug it in. So with an iPhone or iPad, you can plug it into your computer, and as you're working on it on your desktop, you can push it straight to test it on your iPhone. But if it's not connected and you're saving with cloud documents, you can access those files that you've created directly through your device using the cloud document feature. And then a key one is next year is the ability to co-collaborate on documents within some of our tool sets that have been around for a long time. So Photoshop, Illustrator, Fresco, you can actually ask people to come in and edit these documents in the cloud documents option, as well as get feedback too. So one of the key things with these cloud documents is by putting them online, people can view, interact with them, and add comments to them so you can get feedback, which is brilliant for learning, giving that feedback loop. And then another big area that with the latest tools, so if you're thinking, well, we might have an old version of Photoshop, why would we upgrade? There's two things to think about here. One is that if your students are going into the workplace, then they'll probably be using the latest version of the tools. And so you want to be teaching them the latest version of the tools so they've really got those skills to go into employment. The second feature is that because we're building more artificial intelligence and machine learning into our applications, is that some of the tasks that may have taken 10, 15, 20 minutes previously can now be done in 5 seconds. So Owen spoke about our sky replacement option, which is in the bottom right. So it automatically works out where the sky is, takes it out and offers you a choice of skies to replace with. So down here. And the key with this is it's a non-destructive edit. So if you don't like it and you want to change it, you can just change it without having to go through the whole process again. Neuro filters, which we've got now in Photoshop, these are filters that are really powerful in adjusting lots of different things about the picture and can actually change the angle the person is facing. So it's really powerful using artificial intelligence to produce that. And again, have a look at neuro filters in the options there. For those of you using Illustrator, we've got a recolor artwork function. We had a function previously, but this option now enables you to change it so much quicker and base it on different styles that you've got there. So there's an example of an artwork that's being recolored. 3D transformations within Adobe XD. So you don't have to spend ages building a 3D camera workspace. It can just build these 3D layouts and then transform so these items float in 3D space. Premiere Pro, as part of our drive for accessibility, is the ability to turn speech into text and bake in those closed caption into the document as well, so you don't have to send it out or use another application. You can do that all within Premiere Pro using our speech engine. Roto Brush 2, that's where you might want to take away the people from the background and then have something flying between them. So the Roto Brush enables you to do that easily. Then we've got speech aware animation, so Character Animator, which is our tool that maps your face and voice to a character and animates them live. So we're just adding more and more advanced features that used to be really difficult to do if you tried to do it manually. and trying to just speed up that workflow to make everyone more efficient. And then the drive for mobile apps. So Adobe's view is that we want people to create wherever they are on any surface. So be that an iPad, a mobile phone, a Windows machine, a Mac, and to be able to work and then continue on the different devices rather than having to go back to that same device. So we brought Photoshop to the iPad, as I said earlier, last year, and now we've got Illustrator on the iPad. We've got Lightroom that works on mobile. There's also Lightroom for web. So if you've got a Creative Cloud All Apps account, you can access Lightroom through a web browser as well. Photoshop Camera, where we can use some really clever artificial intelligence to improve the images taken with your mobile device and also add animations into that. We've got Premiere Rush, which is our video editing tool. And one of the key things that's happened with blended learning and distance learning is lots of teachers have been asked to create videos, and that can be quite a daunting task. And I've spoken to a lot of IT people around who quite often just get sent these video files and asked to make them look good. Now, Premiere Rush is a simple but powerful video editor that works on Windows, Mac, iPads, and higher level Android devices. And it's a simple to use video editor, but you can bring in titles to just make it look professional, as well as record voiceover, bring in picture into that video. And the key is about focusing on the quality of the video that's been created for the learners rather than just trying to replicate a lesson. And then on the right hand side, we have Adobe Fresco. So this is our painting and drawing app that came out first of all on the iPad, is available for Surface devices, Windows Surface devices, and also is now available on the iPhone. So people can create where they are when they want to, and that's a big driver for us. Okay, moving on to the PDF. Lots and lots of blended learning has been sent to students and pupils as PDF documents. And one of the challenges when viewing these, especially on a mobile device, is that when you open up a PDF on a mobile device, the first thing that most people do is pinch and zoom in so they can read the text because it's too small. It's trying to fit an A4 page on a phone screen. So we've now got this new feature built into Acrobat called Liquid Mode. And Liquid Mode uses machine learning, artificial intelligence to work out what is in the document, the hierarchy of the document, and then reformat it in a way that doesn't lose the flow of the document, but enables you to read it without having to zoom in. So it turns what was an A4 page of multiple columns into one long page that you can just scroll up and down through. And you can adjust the size of the line spacing and the font size to make it easier for you to read. So it's much quicker to access these documents. And again, it builds on that accessibility piece as well. Okay, so what have we done to support learning? One of the challenges we've had with Creative Cloud are there's so many apps, and where do I get started? So one of the key things we've released recently is the ability for the community within Adobe Behance to actually present their workflows. So take people on a journey showing how they use the tools to create a drawing or to edit photos. And so this is becoming a feature that's going to be baked into a lot more of our tools, is the ability for, this is more aimed at students and professionals, to live stream their work directly from within the tool. So not having to have setups with OBS or other streaming tools plugging in their device. They can just drive it straight from within the app. So we've got community sharing how they do this. This is really powerful to hear how professionals actually use the tools. So for students to learn from these. We've also built in a lot more functions. So on the Adobe personalization, we've got hands-on tutorials now built into all of the apps. So as you open up Photoshop, you can open up the hands-on tutorials, and that will take you through a step-by-step process to learn how to do those activities. And it tells you how long it should take. So 4 minutes for this activity. And linked to that, I'm just going to pull in the Creative Cloud kind of desktop landing page. And within here, this is the web browser version, but it looks very similar to the version that's on the computer, which my computer has signed me out, so I'm just signing into that. We have all the different apps, and we've tried to break it down so people can know where to get started with which tools and looking at the different tasks that they might need to work through. And then the other thing we've done is when you go into a tool like Photoshop, you go into this page, which then explains a bit more about it and has some tutorials. So getting started with Photoshop courses, how to cut out a collage, how to combine images. There are tutorials built into this to get going. If they're using it through the desktop app, it looks like this. So if I click on Photoshop, sorry, I want to click on to Discover, that will take me to a very similar page, which explains I've got the videos for essential editing, removing, and lots of options within Photoshop there. So the key thing about this is how we're helping people get started with the tools without having to spend a long time being trained to use them. They can learn for themselves. Then on the right hand side, we've got the Adobe Education Exchange. So the Adobe Education Exchange is our online platform with free courses and resources for educators aimed at both K-12, so primary and secondary, and through to higher education. We include as well self-paced courses to get people started. And one of the recent additions is we have these professional learning kits. These are kits that if you wanted to run a training session in your organization, you can take this kit and it includes in it all of the materials, so posters or graphics that you could put in an invitation. It includes a slide deck with presenter notes to take you through how you would run a training session. So really an ability to train a trainer in your own environment, and that could be done remotely. And we're building resources all the time. So there's the teaching courses, and then there's educational resources. And any content that is on the Adobe Education Exchange is Creative Commons share alike attribution. So you can take this, you can use this in your classroom and as activities with your learners and not have to worry about who owns the copyright to this. So you've got that, and you can see a range of these tools. And the Education Exchange is going through some updates as well, so you'll see some newer experiences happening all the time. And as I said, all of the content, all of the courses on the Adobe Education Exchange are completely free. We've also produced a distance learning page which links to other activities that have been specifically written. So we've got Khan Create activities that you could take and just give to your learners as a remote learning task. So you don't have to rewrite it, reformat it, you can push it out that way. Okay, so I'm just going to go into the Creative Cloud offerings and clarify some of the licensing types that we have available for both K-12, primary and secondary schools and higher education. The main offer that we have are Creative Cloud shared device licensing and Creative Cloud named user licensing. I've put Adobe Spark for Education there. That's free for education. You do need to set it up with an admin console and link your users to that admin console to assign them a product profile, but it is completely free. And then with the Creative Cloud shared device, these are designed to be in a classroom environment in a lab to be installed on those machines. And I've got some clarity around that in the next couple of slides. The Creative Cloud named user license, this is the one that we're really seeing people asking about more and more with this new way of working, with this blended approach to learning, with partial lockdowns, full lockdowns, bubbles being isolated, is the ability to install it wherever you like in school or in your organization, because the license is per user. But that also gives the user the rights to install it at home on their own devices. And it gives you access to all of the mobile apps as well. So they don't, if you have a shared device license, you don't have access to the mobile apps because they're linked to a named user. With the shared device license, to get access to Creative Cloud files and cloud documents, they need to have Spark assigned. That gives them the storage in the cloud services. So if I break it down a little bit more into this, the solution for lab deployments, where you want to have a limited number of devices, so be it a classroom or 2 classrooms. You purchase based on the number of devices, but there is unlimited users to use that device. They have to sign into it with an Adobe federated account preferably. And as I said before, if you assign them Adobe Spark, that gives them services, that gives them storage, Adobe fonts, and access to Creative Cloud libraries. A key clarification point, this license type is not to be virtualized or allow remote access to. So the licensing model for this is a lab license to be accessed physically in the lab. And you may have some teachers that want access to Creative Cloud and you've got shared device licensing. You can install that on a school-owned and managed device, like a teacher laptop, but it's not to be given out for anyone else to install on their own personal devices. So that's a point of clarification there, really, with that. The named user license, you can install it unlimited places, so deploying it across the whole estate, because the license is activated by the user rather than the device. It gives you full bring your own device rights, so they can access it at home by just going to adobe.com, putting in their email address, and it will see that they've got a license and allow them to download Creative Cloud. A named user license package can be installed on a remote desktop connection or virtualized because the license is linked to the user. So if you've got organizations that have got Chromebooks but want some of their students to have access to some of the more powerful tools that require a decent processor and GPU, then that can be an option with the named user license. And they also get full access to Adobe fonts with a named user license, whereas on the shared device license, the previous screen, they still get some Adobe fonts. It's a limited number. It's still 100 or so, but it's not the thousands that they get with the full license. And it allows the flexibility to work anywhere. And then just to clarify with all of this, why do Adobe need people to sign in to their devices? And hopefully through the journey I've taken you on today, you realize that that supports, we've got 2 aims with this really. One is that you can work anywhere on any device and have a seamless, frictionless experience of starting work and continuing work across multiple devices. And the second thing with this age of remote working and preparing people for the future and more efficiency is about collaboration. And if you can't identify a user, you can't collaborate on a document. So the key thing is around collaboration, be it feedback or live co-editing. So that's the reason of the sign-in. As I said, if you've got G Suite or Office 365, we can make that process much easier to deploy in terms of deploying those licenses to your users and connecting it. If you've got legacy device licenses, so these are the terminology that we use is shared device license and legacy or device license. And a device license doesn't require a user to sign in, but it doesn't have any of the features like the collaboration because it can't identify the user. It doesn't have the efficiencies of CC 2021 now, so it doesn't have any of the sky replacement, the neural filters, those options. It's limited to CC 2018, so you're on software now that we're on CC 2021, so it's a few years old. And if you are using Apple devices, if you buy new Macs, you can't downgrade them. So you can't use CC 18 on brand new Macs. You need to be on CC 21 or a newer version, which requires the user to sign in. So I've put my example here of the candle and the lights, and they do the same thing. They all produce light in slightly different ways, but as you go through the evolution, they become more efficient and quicker at doing things using lesser energy. So think about that with the different versions. If you've got an older version, yes, you could do a lot, but you might be more less efficient in using that tool because it hasn't got those new features built in. And as I said earlier, the key thing is, are you preparing these young people for going into the world of work to support that? Okay. Now, this is a very wordy slide, and I'm fully aware of that, but I'll hopefully try and make some points of clarification. Adobe have two licensing models in terms of price points. We have what Adobe call the Adobe K-12 licenses and Adobe Higher Education licenses. In August, we clarified this point to help specifically around the UK and making sure that sixth form colleges are clearly stated as eligible based on ISCED level 3 classifications. To put this in an easier context, in the UK, we have GCSEs that are level 2 qualifications that you'll do in our secondary schools, and then you might stay on at the sixth form and do an A level or a BTEC level 3. So if your institution is doing level 3 qualifications, then they can buy the K-12 licenses, the named users or the shared device. If they are doing HNCs or degrees, anything above a level 3 qualification, so level 4 and above, then their users must be assigned a higher education license, be that named user higher education or shared device higher education. If you have a mixture where you can separate your students by course level, you can assign named user licenses at the right level. So level 3 can be assigned the K-12 and level 4 and upwards can be assigned the higher education license. A lot to take in. Speak to the team at Pugh if you've got any questions, and they can also come back to me on this. And we do have a couple of options where we've got institutions looking at their student licensing at higher education. There are some promos available that Pugh can discuss with you around student license packs for your higher education customers, specifically to support in the distance learning environment. Okay, and then nearly wrapping up, the Education Welcome Pack. This is a digital document that I created using Adobe InDesign, so you can publish from Adobe InDesign directly to the web and include video and hyperlinks out of it. And the Welcome Pack is aimed at supporting institutions that are beginning their digital journey with Creative Cloud, and it takes them through how you might organize your organization, not telling you exactly how to do it, giving points and tips of how you would achieve driving creativity through the curriculum rather than just in your art and design and digital media courses. And the key thing that we ask of the partners to do, so if they are talking to people in procurement and they say, hey, can you give me the contact details of someone that actually teaches with these tools and maybe driving the use of digital tools across your curriculum, then this pack will be sent out to both IT procurement and what I've coined the Creative Cloud project leader. So quite often in schools you have procurement and IT that are asked to buy, we need access to Photoshop or Creative Cloud for these pupils, and they go and ask for a quote, and then it comes back and they install the software. And if we're looking at supporting change management, this also needs to be driven with how it links to a vision, a strategy, not just around Adobe, more around digital and where digital skills fit into that institution's aims and objectives. So with the Creative Cloud Project Leader, we've got resources here. There's about 20 pages linked on resources and material to support someone that is trying to bring around digital transformation within their organization. With this world of blended learning, we've found that there's been a knee-jerk reaction between March and maybe the summer, so March to June. How do we just get through this period as quickly as possible? And now people are starting to think that we've suddenly made leaps and bounds within using tools that we never thought we would have embedded, and it's just had to happen. Now is the time to reflect and then build that plan for how you're going to take that through forward. So without losing the momentum of this change, how you can use this change to drive digital skills throughout the curriculum. I think of Adobe as part of a toolbox. It's not the only tool to use. You might have an Office suite or other specific tools to do specific jobs, but how that fits into a tool set. And then the final thing linked to that is how this project leader can use Creative Cloud ambassadors to amplify and support. So the way I pictured the ambassadors were teachers that are keen to bring more digital learning into their classroom, but not necessarily sure how to do it and not at the leadership table. And these are the people that really actually make it happen in the classroom. So I've got 3 personas. The document takes them all through with resources to support them, links to the Adobe Education Exchange, links to other courses available for the IT administrators, information on deploying Creative Cloud and understanding of how our licensing works and how to make best use of it. So Pugh, as one of our current elite education partners, have access to the welcome kit. So if you'd like to have a copy, please contact your Pugh representative. And any feedback on the welcome pack is greatly appreciated. Okay. That's it from me. I look forward to some Q&A at the end.
Great, thanks, Tom. Sorry. Yeah, thanks for that fantastic presentation. I know I was, but I'm sure you were really excited with the incredible releases at MAX this year. So if you've got any further questions for Tom, please send them in. And like he said, there's quite a lot of information there. So the webinar will be available on our website after, so you don't have to worry about that. So if I bring Eifion in now, and he's just going to talk about a couple of our solutions at Pugh regarding blended learning. So bore da, good morning, Eifion.
Good morning, everyone. Bore da. Can you hear me, Owen?
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect, thank you. So thanks, Owen. Thanks, Tom. Good morning, everyone, again. I'm going to spend the next 5 to 10 minutes quickly sharing some ideas of how Teams and Teams devices can be used in classrooms and teaching environments. Some are particularly relevant at the moment. However, I'm sure you can think of scenarios that can help with learning outcomes once everything gets back to a level of normality. Hopefully by next year with the news from the current vaccines. Although I'm talking about Teams here, all the devices are relevant for other technologies such as Zoom. Next slide, please, Tom. As you can see from the slide, there are a whole range of devices available for the teaching environment and for students. Some or most of you may have run a remote meeting or lesson by now, using whatever hardware you have to hand, from laptops, desktops and tablets, using cameras and microphones built into devices. However, good quality cameras and handsets can make a big difference to your students' experience, and we have a range of good quality devices to suit your budget. However, a device you may not be familiar with is a Teams handset, such as the one on the top of the slide. This is a traditional phone handset which includes a camera and a display and allows you to take part in a meeting from a single device, and it frees up room on your desk if space is limited. The teaching devices on the left of the slide are meeting devices, and we will see how they can be used in a classroom as we move on. So let's have a look at some example setups. So next slide, please, Tom. So I'm sure you're all familiar with this. As we discussed earlier, where a teacher is presenting their lesson and students are participating from home. For better results, consider using additional devices. Take the headset, for example. A good headset can drown out background noise, allowing you to concentrate on your teaching. This is a fairly typical setup at the moment, used by many people. But if we move on, we can see some more interesting setups. So you can find yourself in a situation, especially these days, where a whole class is self-isolating, or you could be teaching to another partner institution geographically remote from yourselves. Imagine the saving in travel time you could achieve by delivering remotely to these students. By having a display, a camera, and a microphone in front of you with higher quality lenses and larger fields of view, more sensitive microphones, students can see you in a more natural teaching setting rather than being sat down in front of a laptop. So next slide, please, Tom. We'll take this a step further. So here you can see the scenario where some students could be self-isolating, classes can be split for social distancing, or you just need to record the lessons for students to review later in their own time. And by having the lessons recorded, they can be uploaded to Microsoft Stream for review by students later, either students that have missed the lesson or who aren't able to attend because of social distancing. If you wanted, you could also edit these recordings in Creative Cloud before you upload them. The setup is the same as before, with a camera in front of you, with a mic and the display that you can see. However, if you notice on top of the whiteboard, there is another camera there, and that camera records what's going on the whiteboard. And not only that, it uses machine learning to remove any obstruction from the teacher as they write, to give a better experience for the students. So next slide, please, Tom. So this is taking it even further, and you can have a really interactive experience by having further cameras distributed across the classroom. This allows you to switch the camera feed and audio to bring students into the lesson and obviously be included in your recordings at the end of the lesson. So look at one final scenario. Next slide, please, Tom. So this is definitely a more traditional way these devices have been used in a meeting room with everybody around a meeting table, such as a staff meeting room, and you can then include staff that are remote, even in other establishments, by using Teams and Teams meetings devices. Okay, next slide, please, Tom. So finally, just to summarize, to get the best results, use equipment that is designed for purpose so that the quality of the meetings is optimal for your remote participants and for recording lessons for absent students or for revision, for instance. Okay, that was a whistle-stop tour. That's all from me. Thanks for your time. If you need any further information, speak to LD or student or Simon, your account managers. And with that, I'm going to hand you back to Owen.
Diolch, Eifion. Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone will agree that was a fantastic insight into the solutions we offer to help enhance blended learning. As Eifion said, you've got Simon and LD's information on screen there. So if you want any further information, please get in contact. We've also got our Twitter and LinkedIn handles on screen. Here we offer the latest updates and new products that we really see that will benefit our customers. So be sure to follow. Right, I'm going to bring Tom in now. So we've got a question here, Tom.
Okay.
So it was regarding Adobe Spark, it was. So do you need a subscription per person to use it? And do you have to have a full suite of Adobe apps to use it in the first place?
Okay, so to use Adobe Spark for Education, you need a VIP, which Pugh can set up for you. So a subscription with no cost. And once you've got that set up, then you can assign, that'll have Spark in the admin console, and you can assign your users to Spark. So to get Spark, the flow is speak to Pugh, say I'd like to have Adobe Spark, they can create a VIP subscription with no cost. And then you get an invite to that VIP subscription. You just accept the terms and conditions. And inside that admin console, you'll have Adobe Spark with unlimited licenses. And then you connect your users with either G Suite or Office 365 and assign the product profile to them. So yes, you can use it completely without any Creative Cloud tools at all. You can use it on its own. In terms of if you then wanted to buy Creative Cloud, you can add that to that admin console. So there is not a great deal more work to be done, but you can have Spark without any kind of paid contract.
Fantastic. Well, that's all the questions we've got for now, Tom. You obviously went into great detail on everything there. Like I said, we're going to have the webinar available on our website for people to look back on, because there was quite a lot of information there. So yeah, thank you all for joining, and thanks Tom and Eifion.
No problem. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Yeah, we hope to see you on
Thank
another
you.
one of our webinars soon.
Bye for now.
Thank you.